Hello and welcome to Mangator 96, and today we're going to talk about Youjo Senki, or also known as Saga of Tanya the Evil. This is a really fun series considering that its setting is World War I with magic and the main character is a sociopath, but that's precisely the reason why it's good. I do like me some good old stories based on war, even if it has magic in it, but thankfully this series is really loosely based on World War I, so the magic used in it doesn't bother me as nearly as it would if it was based on the actual events in World War I. Also, a story based on war is perfect for a main character as Tanya, who really wouldn't work in any other setting besides this one, where she shines despite being brutal, cruel and ruthless, as war does bring the worst out of mankind. In this video I'll cover Tanya and her right-hand woman Viktoriya, where I will go over their personalities, their past and their relationship. But before we start, here's the spoiler warning, as I will be spoiling a lot of things in this video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I would highly recommend that you go and read the light novel, as it is an enjoyable read. For everyone else, let's start with an overview on who Tanya is. Tanya von Degurechaff was originally a salaryman who was murdered in 2013. He was reborn as a girl living in an alternate version of Europe during the late interwar period. At just 9 years of age, Tanya enters the Empire's magic troops and is promoted to second lieutenant. Her talents, strategies, efficiency and ruthlessness make her a useful asset for the Empire and a threat on the battlefield. Since she graduated from the War College as one of the 12 knights, she has been granted the title of One. Moreover, she leads her own newly formed magic battalion known as the Imperial Army 23rd Air Magic Battalion. Tanya is a very complex character. In her past life, Tanya described herself as someone with many complexes, and that he was twisted. She has both superiority and inferiority complexes, which is shown by how she compared herself to real geniuses she couldn't compete with, while also desired to be above others. Tanya has a lot of sociopathic traits called calculative and often sees others as objects she can use to her advantage. This allowed her to rise rapidly through the ranks of her career in both lives. Tanya places her faith in numbers, following the Chicago School of Economy, which states that everything has a price. This could be seen from how effectively she picks and raises her subordinates to be a valuable human resource she can use. This also allows her to become a very efficient commander, as she is both a decisive strategist and a cunning tactician who is not hindered by her emotions. Tanya also sees herself as a profitable human resource, doing everything to raise her value in the eyes of her superiors, which drives her to put up a front of the perfect soldier since her recruitment. This impresses and also unnerves her comrades, particularly Erich von Rehrgun, who considers her a psychopath for her ruthlessness. Sometimes this trait also becomes a disadvantage to her, such as her lack of empathy that disables her from putting herself in other people's shoes, in particular her lack of insight of possibility that the people she offended by her callous dismissal will take revenge on her. She is also a libertarian, as it could be seen from her monologue about freedom of will and the goal for a comfortable life in the rear, something she had sought in her previous life too. This trait of her personality is also the source of her frustration on how the Imperial Army treats their soldiers, in which missions is an absolute and she couldn't disobey even suicide missions. It's also why Tanya loathes being X for disrespecting her freedom and intending to convert her even against her will. Due to her faith in signaling theory, Tanya dons a mask of the perfect soldier. On the surface, Tanya is every bit what an imperial soldier should strive to be, a harsh discipline who still cares about the lives and safety of her troops, a stupendously powerful and brutal warrior that still adheres to international laws, a person with a sharp tactical mind, unflinching courage, and unquestionable loyalty to her country. An officer who nevertheless remains humble and respectful to even non-commissioned officers. A devout believer in religion who often calls upon God to bless her country. All of those would make her an inspirational figure. The fact that she is a young girl only makes the adults around her vow to work harder. Tanya has an ironclad belief in her ideology and methodology, which is also why she is so oblivious of the fact that what she did in her previous life didn't give the same result in her current career and timeline. More often than not, she has assumed other soldiers would share her mindset, such as refusing to apply for a dangerous assignment, leading her to a series of failures in achieving her goal. While she did notice she didn't get the result she wanted, Tanya stubbornly believes her method isn't the reason. Though the anime follows closely to the original source, it markedly highlights the brutal and cruel side of Tanya's character. This can be seen from a number of differences in her monologue and action. In the first episode, Tanya purposely arranges the death of two insubordinated soldiers under her, while in the original source they are simply taken off of her platoon to prevent discord. She also behaves colder and distant towards Visha, as opposed to being delighted by her help during the recruitment period of the new mage battalion. She wishes she could have left Visha in the Rhine instead. As for her relationship with Being X, as the one who traps her in the body of a child she deeply hates and holds an unspeakable grudge against him. Due to her being an atheist, she refuses to acknowledge him as her creator. Moreover, because of his intervention, she loathes him so much to the point where she is ready to kill him anytime he shows himself. As for her relationship with Viktoriya Ivanovna Serebryakova, she originally always thought of her as a tool for her promotion and achievements. Moreover, she thinks of her as one of the human resources beneficial to the empire. Despite this, Tanya also respects her to the fullest and honestly prefers her hand-brewed coffee the most. In the manga version, Tanya occasionally calls Viktoriya by her nickname Visha. On a couple of occasions, Tanya tries to make sure her men don't do anything sexual towards Visha since they are comrades in arms. As for her relationship with the Imperial Army 203rd Air Magic Battalion, Tanya originally didn't care for them at all and thought of them as human resources for the Empire. However, since she is apprehensive about earning herself a bad reputation and record, she attempts to keep those under her command alive. According to Light Novel Volume 5, it is the opposite to the minds of her men because they think of her as their lovable superior due to her being mad at losing some of her troops in battle. They mistakenly thought she was grieving the loss of their comrades. In that event, they become more loyal and make her their example to become patriotic and ready to sacrifice their lives in order to protect not only the country but also her. According to the Youjo Senki side series, she is shown to have a deeper relationship with them. In episode 8, she is willing to share her chocolate with her fellow comrades. In addition, episode 10 and 12, which were both directed to them having fun together, clearly proves she does care for them at times. In the manga version, similarly to the anime, she originally thought of them as human resources, but realizes that she needed to train them to be the best so they could become her shield. During selection, she set a high bar to enter the unit, with mainly failing. With the approval of Zetor, she was given permission to re-educate them. It's shown that she values the veteran soldiers of her unit more than the recruits, not caring if they die compared to the veterans who she trusts. Moving on to Visha. Viktoriya Ivanovna Serebryakov, aka Visha, was originally a conscript mage in the Empire's Cadet Corps. During the Battle of Rhine, she was assigned to the members of Platoon 3 under Tanya von Degurechaff's leadership. After she completed her crash course, she served as Tanya's adjutant. After the battalion suffered numerous losses over the several campaigns in participating in, she eventually received command of one of the companies. Her personality was depicted differently throughout the media. So, for the light novel personality of Visha, before her first battle in Rhine, she was a naive girl like most teenagers in her age. After that, she tried hard to learn how to fight as a mage to follow Tanya, her platoon leader. She seldom complained to Tanya, though most times she could barely be accustomed to the painful living of battle. She is a competent adjutant and also a pragmatist. She gets along well with the other soldiers in the 203rd Aerial Mage Battalion. As for her personality in the anime, she is carefree, friendly, hopeful, a God believer and an optimistic person. She always cares for the lives of her commander, best friend and her comrades. She is naive and slightly childish. Despite her age, she often gets excited and pumped up whenever people talk about food with her. Although she is scared when her commander Tanya becomes angry, she always thinks positive and never gives up in the hopes she would act like a normal young girl. As for her personality in the manga, it gets close to the light novel. In addition, she is more emotional in front of Tanya and becomes strict when carrying out her orders. As for her past, Viktoriya was born in Rus during Chastri's regime in Moscow, and during the civil war she fled with her family and sought refuge in the Empire. She claimed she had forgotten most of her childhood memories in her former homeland, and all that was left is fleeing from the Red Army and nothing happy. She is conscripted due to her magical talent and attended cadet school. In 1923, she is appointed as corporal alongside Harald von Wiest and Kurst von Wolfholf, under the command of previously ranked 2nd Lieutenant Tanya Degurechaff. With a recommendation from 1st Lieutenant Schwarzkopf and Tanya Degurechaff, she goes through an accelerated program. After graduating, she is assigned to be Tanya's adjutant because of their familiarity and gender. She also joins the training unit V601 and is retrained by Tanya in the Alp Mountains Zugspitze training area. Finally, she completes the retrained mission and becomes a member of the 203rd Aerial Mage Battalion. As for her relationship with Tanya, she believes her superior is cute and adorable and admires her as one of the most patriotic and loyal soldiers of the Empire. As her subordinate, she always avoids complaining and follows her commands at any cost. However, there are some times when she feels scared of Tanya, mostly when she acts aggressively to her subordinates. According to the manga, on her first meeting with Tanya, she noticed the contrast between her beautiful, cute appearance and the aura of maturity and authority, and corresponding to that, she called Tanya von Degurechaff a vampire in her mind. With this, I covered everything that I wanted to cover on this series, and that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more manga reviews and One Piece content. And until next time, take care.